Hey, everybody, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about how to validate your startup idea in 5 simple questions. Let's dive right in. So a quick background on me if you're new to this channel, and if you're not new, then by all means you can, skip forward a couple seconds. Quick background is I'm a finance guy, started in investment banking and doing financial advisory around 8 years ago. I've spent the last 5 years in startups advising thousands of companies. I've advised and mentored and been a part of more groups than I can even count. I've helped launch quite a few companies, and I've helped secure a lot of money, around 10 million plus. I'm not the biggest on just raising tons of money to raise, so I try to keep my raises nice and focused. My day today now that I've just had the opportunity to be around and build stuff and be a part of this ecosystem is I'm an active founder. So I have my own projects, many of which are in development or in the early stages of launch, depending on where they are. I'm a mentor, so I'm always trying to donate time and support communities wherever I can. And lastly, I'm an advisor. So I love to help other companies and help other startups and keep my mind fresh, building and growing companies in the ecosystem. So that's a little bit about me. And as you can see, I'm definitely someone that has just been consumed and sucked into the startup ecosystem. And I want to share some of the things that I've learned from my perspective. So first question. Is this a real problem? And I'm not asking this because I'm trying to doubt you. I'm asking this because you should try and doubt yourself. You should try and find evidence that supports or doesn't support your claim. Because just because you really passionately believe there's a problem doesn't mean that the world is, that an investor is, that the customer really thinks there is. And there's a whole kind of barrier you have to get over that can't be crossed by just, goodwill and all the excitement in the world. How do we define this? Real means worth solving. And then you go, okay, well, what the hell does worth solving mean? It's like, great question. Worth solving means people and or businesses will use and money can be made. Meaning, is there a problem where if we provide a solution, the people that we're providing it to, be they businesses or consumers, will either A, use it, because remember, someone doesn't have to hand you money for you to monetize them. You can get their data and sell it. Again, do things properly, but you can collect their data. You can charge them advertising space. You can offer freemium models where you give part of it for free, or certain areas for free for certain time periods, and then upcharge for extra features. So you don't necessarily need to focus on, can I make $1 million a month with this day one? It's, will people use the thing if you actually provide a solution to this problem? And the second is, can money be made? The can money be made is more predicated on will people use it, because if people are using something, the odds are you can make money on it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we want to assume that before we've, run the mental test. It's okay, I've created this app, but no one wants to pay for it. But if I offer it for free, people will use it. Now, do I think that I can run ads against it, or is it not congruent? Now, do I think that I can run ads against it, or is it not congruent with the business model that the company is currently planning to build? Notice, even if the answer is yes, and even if it seems super obvious, I'm starting with the question. I'm trying to give it a fair shake before I assume the answer. Next. Is there a gap in the market you can fill? So many companies, they go out in the market and they assume that because they haven't Googled their competitors, like they must not have competitors, or because they don't know about X, Y, and Z software, that the customer that they're trying to target doesn't know about it. It's like you have to be willing to do part of this work to really refine the idea and make sure that there's a place for it in the market. And here's the deal. You can even win if there's an absolute one-for-one direct competitor. Lyft and Uber both make lots of money, and neither's that different, right? Everybody has both apps downloaded, to put it like that. So what that means is it's not necessary for you to exist in purely a market, a gap in the market, but it is way more compelling if you do. If there's lots of people that serve the upper end of the market, and there's lots of people that serve the lower end of the market, and there's no one serving the middle, you can win if you go serve the large or the small. It is more compelling if you go for the middle and find this unique place for yourself. The big question I always try to learn when I'm validating idea is, who do the current competitors serve? Meaning, who in the customer base? Are they servicing the early adopters? Are they servicing the general market? Are they servicing only the big players? Are they only servicing a certain industry? Meaning it's a problem that many industries have, but this business is only tackling it for construction or for real estate or for healthcare. But the same application or a similar product could work in 5 other places. I'm trying to understand the nature of the competitive landscape and where I might fit in, even if my choice is I'm going to go head to head with somebody and have, very little in terms of competitive differentiation. It's good to know that, right? It's good to know that you're going into a hard battle, because if you don't, you might die. Do you know your end user, customer, and decision maker? These are 3 separate people, potentially. Typically how this goes is your end user, no surprises, they're actually using the software, right? They're actually typing the keys, they're clicking the buttons. They're the ones where when you check your metrics on usage, they're the ones providing those data points. The end customer is the one that's actually making the purchase. So as an example, if I sell sales software to a business, the end user may be a sales rep, but the customer is the business entity. That's who's actually paying me. Then you go one step further, the decision maker. The decision maker can be anybody anywhere, depends on the corporate structure, but for just, these purposes, let's just say it's the CFO. So now we are targeting this specific B2B business. We know we have to talk to the CFO, and we know once the CFO approves it, the head of sales will implement it with their team, and the sales reps are going to add data to it. Notice we're solving all the pieces of the puzzle before we kind of venture out, because if you don't know, and again, you can go out there and learn and discover things by all means, but if you don't know, it's going to put you in a much harder position, certainly. First, who are they? Can you specify them? And if you can't, that's fine. But notice you want to identify, hey, I know who our end customer is. We got to sell this business, but I don't know who the end decision maker is. Great. Write that down and make sure that's something that you work to solve. Next, what do they want? Remember, the end user that's the sales rep is a completely different person than the CFO. So maybe where the sales rep wants a very simple and intuitive UI UX, the CFO wants a very advanced dashboard to understand all the benefits of the system. Sometimes you can meet in the middle and create solutions that answer both. Sometimes you have to have the management side and the front end side, or the portal for this employee and the portal for that employee. Notice we're starting to think about it a bit more maturely than just, hey, can I sell to this business? It's like, well, there's a lot more that goes into it than just this business. And how do they want it provided? This is a big thing that I think a lot of people overlook. They think that because they've envisioned the solution in one way, whether it's where a button is placed, how it's positioned, how it functions, again, little certain details about how you're actually providing the offering, because the customer doesn't identify it that way, there's something kind of lost in translation, and connections don't happen, sales don't happen, leads don't get generated. So I find that there's a really critical point of really understanding how the customer wants the value provided and how they want to be spoken to. Meaning, are you speaking to them about saving money and using this system to enable all this money saved? That's very different than, hey, use our system to make all this money and do X, Y, and Z. They seem like so close. One's saving money, one's making money. But depending on what that person wants and how they want it provided, that CFO wants to make money and they want to make it by looking at a dashboard. So yeah, you can make them money, but if they don't have a way to hold you accountable, this dashboard as an example, they're not going to be interested in what you have to offer. Do you have the team, or in this case, skills required? Now, here's my opinion. Very much, warning, this is just my opinion. I believe that skills are far more important than team in the early days. Asterisks, subject to the founder. If you're a founder that has the ability to learn about other departments and at least, respect that there are other realms of knowledge beyond your own, such as if you're a marketer, yeah, you may not have a degree in finance, but you can definitely watch a couple of videos on how to put together a financial model and rough out how many units do I have to sell and what's the price per unit, and that means $1 million. Like, you can do that stuff as long as you know basic arithmetic. In just the same way that most people can create and file their own corporate entity if they really wanted to. Now, mind you, I'm a lawyer enjoyer in the sense that I'm always a fan of talking to the lawyer because I want to push that risk onto them. But with a couple Googles, a few ChatGPTs, and 2 YouTube videos, you could file your entity with the utmost of confidence. Notice these are skills. These are abilities. These are personality traits. Someone that's humble and willing to learn. Somebody that can learn. Somebody that knows how to self-educate. These are really compelling things. Now, take that and compare it to a team that's got all the best pedigrees in the world, but they're not skilled or they're too executive. A very common problem with founders are they hire someone for a role that's way too many levels above, and that person doesn't know how to be scrappy in the early days, and then the team suffers because of that. You've got someone really impressive on the team, but they're not doing anything, which means they're effectively, respectfully, useless. The reason I say this is because fundamentally you can always build a team and you can always plan for a team. As an example, if I was just starting a business, because I'm a finance person, right? The first thing I would do would be obviously ask myself all these questions and then go, okay, if I can't, let's just say I came up with like an app for us or like a software app. I'd be like, well, I know I can't code it. And I know even low code is probably something that if I really, grit my teeth, I could pull something out. But do I have a developer? Oh, I do. It's like, okay, well, can I afford to have him do all the development work right now? It's like, no, because he still needs to be paid even if I'll get a good rate. Okay, so what that means is I probably need to go do validation work in order to convince him that it's worth him putting his time into. Okay, but now I have a plan. Now I have a plan where I'm going to validate, and I already have a vetted developer in my book. So that way, if I was to go to a networking event tonight and someone said, oh, where are you at with your startup? Like, what's cooking? What's going on? I'd be like, oh, it's really great. Right now I'm in the middle of validation. I have a whole bunch of meetings scheduled next week. And I'm also thinking about the developer I'm going to bring on board. I have a couple friends and connections and people that I know in the industry, or insert however you're looking for them, that I'm really excited about. And that'll be in a couple months. Notice, again, this is a more casual interaction that you're giving this answer, but it also applies to detailed investor meetings where they go, hey, I see you're missing a developer. Do you think that's going to be an issue? It's like, well, it can be an issue if you haven't thought about how to answer that question, or it can be an opportunity to go, hey, I have determined that, again, and VCs and investors can take different views, that I don't need a developer right now, or mine can wait for 6 months, or I'm working with an agency and then I'm going to bring somebody on full time, post seed raise or post this. Notice you're putting some pillars in the ground. You're giving them a way to feel comfortable, and you're not just, saying like, oh yeah, that's something that I look to solve. And it sounds crazy, but you would be surprised how many founders have really bad answers to very basic questions that they should have thought of the first day they had the idea. Like, oh, I have this app. Well, who's going to build it? But instead they focus on the 11th feature that they want to add to the app. It's like, listen, why don't we do the first 3 features and figure out who's going to build it? Because if we do those well, the rest of the app, is unlocked. But if we don't know who's going to do it, then we're kind of stuck here anyway. Can I access early customers? So this is a really big question because in a perfect world, you are already from your group, right? You're a healthcare person creating a healthcare solution. You're an energy person creating an energy solution, whatever. You don't necessarily need to come from that world. You can always build the knowledge. You can always build the network. You can do all of these things. I will say it helps. And I will say it helps, especially in the early days when you want critical feedback, when you want referrals, when you want general support, when you want a little hookup. If you can build that network either well in advance or ideally solve a problem that comes from one of the worlds that you touch, you're going to find the journey is so much easier. If not, you can always find these people. As an example, I came up with a consumer goods product, some fashion thing, right? I'm not a fashion guy, right? Clearly. But guess what? I may not know anybody in fashion, but you know what I can do? I can Google 100 different fashion events and conferences and shows and stuff, and then I can just show up, right? And I can go meet people and have conversations and learn things. And I can be as salesy or non-salesy as I want. I could walk in there, and this is probably exactly what I do. I'd be like, hey, I've been just, exploring the fashion world, and I was curious. I don't know anything, but I'd love to, learn more about you and what you do in the world. People react to genuineness like that so well. And I wouldn't be surprised if I went and did that as a fashion event and they're like, oh my God, that's so cool you're coming to visit. Oh, let me teach you about that. Oh, you should meet John. John's really good and he just joined. It's like, there's the network. And it happened because a little vulnerability, a little effort, it's right there. But notice I didn't just try and make the network come to me. I was like, hey, if I can't access them, well, how can I access them? Sales typically comes before marketing when it comes to startups, meaning it's really hard to market a product that doesn't have customers, that doesn't have testimonials, that doesn't have feedback, that doesn't have compelling budget behind you. Well, it's kind of hard to have all those things if you don't have the money for the product, or you haven't built the product, or you haven't launched the product. Hence sales. Sales is anything from sending a text saying, hey, I have an app that I'd love for you to check out. Can I get 30 minutes of your time, to one of your buddies, and they try it out, and then later you sell them on it when it's ready, to reaching out and doing cold campaigns on LinkedIn and setting up meetings and doing the whole song and dance. It's not a matter of how you do sales, more that you will do sales. And in my experience, I would wish sales that are warm, meaning people you're already tapping into in your network, versus trying to do nothing but cold sales for a brand new product in a brand new industry. You can imagine you're just kind of like stacking variables and stacking weights that are just going to make it harder. And it's not that hard means impossible, but harder means harder. It's not a word I'm just throwing out there lightly. It will be more difficult. Bonus question. Do you have grit and humility? I find that you can have good answers to all the other questions, but if you don't have these two things, at a minimum, your journey is going to be way more difficult than it needs to be. Now let's break this down. Grit is very simple. The willingness to keep going, because I can assure you there are going to be times where you do not want to keep going with this startup, whether it's a frustration with a team member, an issue with finances where you feel that you got taken advantage of, a problem with the app that you've told the developer 3 times to fix it and it's still not fixed. Like, there's so many things that can annoy you, but grit is just grinding your teeth and going, you know what? Today can be a horrible day and I'm still going to get through it. I am going to do the things that need to be done, and then I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do it again, even if I'm bitter doing it. And obviously you have to manage your emotions and not be mean to people, but it's like, to hell with a good or a bad day. I'm getting through this day. It's like, that energy will serve you so well in the days that are rough with a startup, because trust me, if they haven't come, they will. And if they're already here, trust me, you're probably in the midst of this right now. And the next is humility. And humility doesn't mean you lack confidence. It means that your confidence is well placed. Lots of people are really confident about things they shouldn't be humble about, and really humble about things that they shouldn't be, right? In the same way, if someone says they're great at archery and the first bow they shoot or arrow they shoot misses the entire target, and that looks bad. But in the same way, if someone goes, oh, I dabble at piano, and they sit out there and then it's just Mozart on the fingertips, yeah, they're an ass too, right? Nobody likes either side of the equation. But the balance of appropriate humility, where it's like, hey, I'm confident, or I believe with my chest out that this thesis is correct, and I'm willing to test it and be proven wrong. The humility to be willing to be wrong. The humility to learn, the ability to change your perspective based off new data, new experiences, just new information. And again, it seems like one thing, grit is all about biting through it, and humility is all about kind of taking a step back and taking it easy. But you'll find that startups are about a lot of, seemingly diametrically opposed forces that come together in one little, nucleus and build something great. But it's about the balance and knowing when to apply, the right solution to the right problem. Some places it's about gritting your teeth. Some places it's about being really humble and being willing to learn. It's all about you to build that discernment and apply it wherever you can. And that's it. With these 5 questions plus 6, I think you'll have a really good start at figuring out if your idea is worth pursuing, at least to lean heavily into the validation stage. There's so much that comes with building a startup that these questions, they're very much just the beginning, but in a big way, the later stages of your business are all predicated on the answers that come from here. So if you can come up with good answers to start, amazing. And if you need to work on them, all the better.